we're going to talk about section 1.3, and we just have one example. So we're given f of x is equal to x, or the square root of x, and g of x is equal to 1 minus x. They're asking us to find f of g and g of f. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to rewrite this as f of g of x, because this notation illustrates what's going on a little bit better in my opinion. It shows that g has been plugged into f. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to write the f function, but instead of writing x, I'm going to write parentheses. And in those parentheses, I'm going to put g of x, since g is inside of f. So I end up with that, and if we just simplify, we can drop those parentheses. Now down here with g of f, I'm going to first write it in the easier to understand notation. I'm going to write the g function, but instead of writing the x, I'm going to write parentheses. And then I'm going to replace those parentheses with the f function, because f has been plugged into g. And once again, I can simplify by dropping those parentheses. Alright, so we have both of these. Now the problem also asks us to talk about the domain. So first I just want to talk about the function square root of x, or I guess in this case f of x, and the domain is anything that's greater than or equal to 0. You probably remember that if we put negative numbers into a square root, it's going to give us imaginary numbers, and we're just working with real numbers on this problem, and so that's our domain. Now, to find the domain of this one, we have 1 minus x in place of x. So I'm just going to say 1 minus x is greater than or equal to 0. I'm going to add the x over here. And then I like my x on the left, so that's going to switch my inequality. And so x is less than or equal to 1. So if I wrote out the full domain for this one, it's going to look like that. Now this one, the only thing that's going to affect the domain is the square root of x, because the 1 on the outside is just going to move it up and down. The negative is just going to flip it across the x-axis, and none of that actually affects the domain. I'm going to show you on a graph just to kind of convince you if you're wondering on that. But it's going to have the same domain as this, and so this domain is the same right there. Okay, so I have Desmos pulled up, and let's go here, get this out of the way. Okay, so the first one, so if you do SQRT, that's a shortcut for square root, and you can just do 1 minus x. So we see this, and we see everything is less than or equal to 1. Once again, that's what we said right here for our domain. Once again, it's just the x values that we're looking at. And then if we do this one, we're going to go 1 minus, and then it's SQRT, put an x. We see this, that we're 0 and above, and so we can see that that domain is the same as this one. If you have additional questions, please come to MathLab. Until then, calculator.